How you liking your kitchen, Nate?
I love it. I love it. You guys are the way.
I think next week Phil's gonna come in and train you and Rena on the new menu.
Sweet. New menu?
All new menu.
When I heard about the elote,
Elote? You're speaking of language. I mean, not really.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
Hello.
All right. Getting this thing going. Looks like YouTube is up. Twitter is up. Facebook is up. Hold on. Twitch, are you there? I see Of Gondor. I see Stephen R. Kevington on Twitch. Hello.
It is working. Oh, hello. It is. That's a hot microphone. Very
Discord, Babe Cruiser. All right. Hello. Welcome, everybody. It's Torn Tuesday. It's time for your weekly dose of all things Lord of the Rings, Tolkien, Middle-earth, by TheOneRing.net, forged by and for fans of J.R.R. Tolkien.
That's a past tense of the word forge. It is something that dwarves usually do better than anybody else. Unless you're talking about Feanor or the descendants of Feanor. But I'm serious. Forged. Forged by the hard-working volunteerism that took over 23 years ago. Happy Founders Day. To everybody out there joining us, welcome to TheOneRing.net. And I gotta say,
Jordan Ellis is in
hello.
the chat. And
there's Jordan. I can see everyone in the chat. Hello.
Cecilia Mejia.
Leah, hi everybody. Welcome to the show. It's Torn Tuesday. This is TheOneRing.net.
Leah Peterson.
It is, believe it or not, a very special holiday. A holiday of special significance for TheOneRing.net.
Really? I don't even know this. Tell me.
It's Founders Day.
What does that mean?
We published the story on TheOneRing.net. It's right there on our main page. You guys do that thing that you never do anymore and open up your web browser and point your web browser to TheOneRing.net. I know that no one ever does this anymore, but take a look. And the story about Founders Day was that to celebrate Tahanu, Kalasuri, Corvar, and Zoannan, of course, and Zoannan, forgive me, they celebrated the 10-year anniversary as a Founders Day, and they've been doing that for 13 years ever since. So it is the...
this is the day that the site was founded.
Yes, it's the day the site was founded.
This is the day that Deagle reached in and grabbed a shiny thing at the bottom of the river and started... And I see Mary is saying hello from the Virgin Islands. I believe that's our first Virgin Islands shout out.
It might be. Maybe the first one in a long time. Welcome to the show, everybody.
Nigel is here. Miss Callie is a newbie Callie here. Hello.
Hello,
welcome
newbies.
all.
Welcome the newbies. You know what? For 23 years now, TheOneRing.net has been, recirculating the news stories and helping to propagate the rumors and helping to dispel some of the rumors that they originally propagated. I mean, we've been doing it all for 23 years. It's amazing.
Speaking of rumors, Otaku Senpai is a regular in the chat room.
Hello, one of our favorites. Welcome back, Otaku Senpai.
They say in the chat room right now, Cliff, that he might believe that I don't know about Founders Day. And let me just tell you, I'm not joking. I did not know what Founders Day is or was. It's the day that the site was founded.
Somebody who wants to make a Tron reference very, very badly. That would be me.
Yes.
This was the day when the circuits were turned on and the entire city of the grid that was TheOneRing.net was turned on. That was the very first time.
The grid.
I love those Tron movies.
What was the trailer? The touring and Tron.
Oh, there it is. There's an anagram. We're dealing with very bad anagrams, but what we're really here to talk about is our deep affection for J.R.R. Tolkien and the magnificent literary worlds that he created with The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings and The Silmarillion, and yet also we spend a great deal of energy and time looking at and rumor-mongering a bit here and there.
Oh boy, do I have some rumors today.
Not just what is happening in the literary world, but also in the pop culture facet. Because it is a multifaceted gem, this whole thing about Tolkien fandom and his legacy. So, yes, here I am in my Sideshow collectible shirt and with my Kyber crystal, representing all the fandoms. But Tolkien fandom is a special one, a very special fandom. Because we have a literary fandom that overflows and overlaps in a Venn diagram with pop culture fandom. And so it's an interesting dynamism that we have going on here.
I'm supposed to be literary? I'm supposed to read?
You're supposed to read the books at some point in time. All right. Do you know how quickly you can read The Hobbit?
Tell me quick, Beam.
Like,
how quickly?
About 6 hours. You'll
Okay.
sit there in one evening. In one evening, you can read The Hobbit in about 6.5 hours.
Funny, I might have 6 hours of free time right ahead of me. But Cliff,
you would do that to binge watch something on Netflix. You could binge read The Hobbit in the same length of time. Ladies and gentlemen, it's JC, the owner and proprietor of Scum and Villainy.
where we are at now.
I read The Hobbit. My family, my sister and her family, and me and my family went to Cabo. And I sat in the hotel room and read The Hobbit while they went to the beach and spent time in the pool. So I read The Hobbit in a weekend in Cabo.
A beautiful weekend with Bernie. A weekend in Cabo.
You have a sister?
Weekend at Bernie's? Can I make Bernie's? That is a beautiful, beautiful story, JC. That's so awesome. See, and it doesn't take that long. You can read The Hobbit.
Well,
and then tell me when Thorin dies, you're not in tears.
Don't spoil.
Tell me that when Thorin dies, you're not in tears.
Game.
Spoilers. Sorry, everybody.
Well, we have a ton of breaking news to get into. Let's jump right into it. Cliff, I have breaking news right now.
Breaking news that is a surprise to me yet again.
Breaking news right now. You're not going to believe this.
I might believe this.
I'm going to bring this up on screen. I hope this works.
Something about the purchase of Twitter not being good for anybody?
Hang on. Before we get to that, breaking news. As we speak, in the next hour or so, the Brazilian edition of Big Brother is going to have its season finale. Big Brother is the biggest show on Brazilian television.
Oh, okay.
And Amazon,
the Brazilian version, the other international versions of this show.
That's right.
In Brazil. Okay, cool.
Brazilian Big Brother. Amazon has purchased a major ad unit to debut new footage to Amazon's billion-dollar Rings of Power show tonight, within the next 2 hours, on Brazilian television.
That means, holy moly, Batman, if we get some of our Brazilian audience members who are watching our live stream right now, are you in there? Knock, knock. Okay, we're streaming on many, many platforms right now. Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter.
But we're
on Discord as well. But wow.
But so here's the thing. The channel that Brazilian Big Brother airs on is famously, they do not air any English subtitled content. They dub everything in Portuguese.
That's right.
So we do not know if the Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power sneak preview tonight on that channel will be in Portuguese. Will it be dubbed from the show that was filmed in English and Elvish and Dorvish?
This is an opportunity to back up or to dispel some of the early rumors we had that there were multiple language units doing repeat shooting of the exact same dialogue with the actors doing other languages for other formats.
Wait, and
that was a big rumor we had, right?
That was a rumor we had, and we thought
yes.
that they were filming in native Tolkien tongues, but now that I'm looking at this, maybe they were filming certain scenes in different languages like Indian and Portuguese and Spanish for trailer reasons. And there's a huge release. Leonardo is in the chat room right now with us. Thanks for watching, because he's got it on TV waiting patiently. So keep us updated. Thank you, Stephen, for shouting out. Keep us updated, Leonardo, in the chat room. And again, if it's in Portuguese, I don't speak a lick of that. Neither do you. So
neither do I. No, but
we're going to rely on you fans to send us reports
and screen caps. Please.
Screen caps. Please. If you can video record your TV or streaming platform, hit the record button, because we want to
talk about this and rebroadcast it. Now, I am really intrigued by the...
Yes, Leonardo, come to our Discord. Tukish,
Yes, please.
Varking will
Find
help
him in
you
the
get
Discord.
set up in the Discord.
Are you guys...
Thanks for the support.
Serious? Can you imagine as an actor having to learn pages and pages of difficult English dialogue peppered with Tolkien words and Tolkien vocabulary, and then you have to learn that page of dialogue all over again in Portuguese, in Spanish, in Russian, in Cantonese, in how many languages? In Indian, how many languages worldwide? French, perhaps.
Now, and Portuguese
many-
is similar to Spanish, but it's a different language.
Quite similarly structured. Very
Brazil
similarly
and
structured.
Portugal speak Portuguese.
Can
of
I be
course.
honest with you? Because of the linguistic structures in French and Spanish, Castilian Spanish and Mexican Spanish.
The Romantic
and
languages.
All the Romance languages, including South America and, of course, the unique quality of all those Latin roots and the same similar words makes it easier for one individual to learn one and then learn the other.
That's
I mean,
right.
I'm learning Spanish now. It is much easier to learn because of the French that I learned years and years and years ago. Because of so many common, structures and grammar. It's really interesting. Really interesting.
When they did the localization of Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings films, not only did they hire voice actors to do dubs in every region, but they hired
what they usually do.
They hired the best, well-known, most famous, most recognizable actors that they could in every country.
How many
to do that? So
how many-
Aragorn, Vigo is our Aragorn, but the voice of Aragorn in many languages is the superstar of that country.
I'm curious, and we'll only get to ask the actors later on after the premiere of season 1. But I really want to get down into the linguistic conversation. I want to ask the performers, how many languages were they required to learn to say all the dialogue, shot after shot after shot? And I'm just imagining them doing mirror reproductions of the take. Take it again, this time in Portuguese. Take it again in another language.
I love that the
Take it
chat
again.
room is
I can't
excited.
imagine.
Dr.
I can't
Nosey
imagine.
said he just took a crash course on Portuguese, so now he's fluent. Congratulations! That is a big brain.
Do you know, Duolingo is really quite good. I'm not going to plug
I mean,
them,
you're not
but
going to learn
they're-
Portuguese
they're
in
pretty
an
good.
hour, but
No, but I mean, if
the
you're...
fun part is you talked about Founders Day, and we just talked about the founding of the site, I think last week or the week before.
Yes.
I was going through some old posts, and I believe you guys were part of that show. And some of our earliest posts in that first couple years of fellowship, we were reporting on every single language. People would email us descriptions of, like, I just saw a French preview
Yes.
on the local news in, like, you
Yep.
know, some French town.
That's
and
when
they would
Spy Master would
that was-
light up.
Spy Master would light up
It's
with all
true,
these
it's
descriptions.
true.
And
There'd be some local newspaper doing some other bit about some filming happening in New Zealand.
Anywhere in the country.
Anywhere in the world.
In the world.
And all the fans would email that to us and graciously help us get translation
and
done.
get
Yes.
translations, describe it, and that's why the
really good
OneRing.net became an indispensable, refresh multiple times a day website. So
Yeah.
thank you, Leonardo, and all of our Spanish and Brazilian friends for making an effort now. Send us the DM, put it in Discord. Varking's helping us, Tukush is helping us,
Back in the
Demosthenes
saddle
is there.
again.
Like, we'd love to post about descriptions, even if Amazon does not post this new footage. And supposedly, we've heard from multiple sources, new footage that has never been seen before
Okay.
will be shown to Brazilian audiences tonight.
All eyes on you, Brazil. All eyes on you.
What time tonight? It's expected to be during the finale of Brazilian Big Brother, which I believe starts within the hour. And what did those go? Like 2 or 2 hours?
They're
like
2 hour,
on
usually
prime
2 hour
time?
a block on that show, a show like that.
Yeah. So
my least favorite of all competition-based reality shows, my least favorite that I never ever watch, ever.
Yes.
I mean, please, lame, whatever. But that's just me. That's just me. Oops, sorry.
and then
I mean, compared to The Amazing Race, where people are actually doing something,
before
where
we-
they're actually engaged in something.
I tell you,
Like,
the,
really?
the one reality show that we're most excited about, and you guys should be too, is The Quest.
Oh, The Quest. Now, talk about being engaged.
That's going to be the
Whoa.
new season of The Quest starts on Disney Plus in just a couple
I'm
weeks.
glad
It
you
is-
brought that up.
It is produced by Mark Ordesky and Jane Fleming from you know Mark. He's the executive
course.
producer of Lord of the Rings.
Does anybody raise your hand in the chat if you remember the first season that was broadcast on was it on ABC network when The Quest was first aired a few years ago? What a delightful show, a really great show, and one of the very first season contestants, Paladin Bonnie, was right
Bonnie
here.
Baggins,
Paladin
friend
Bonnie
of the show.
Baggins, friend of the show and friend of the OneRing.net. She was standing right there on that karaoke stage at Scum and Villainy
Just last week.
just last week, singing her heart out.
That's beautiful.
She actually captured footage of me singing Elton John that
Oh,
night.
boy.
It was a really lovely night.
We have a question
But
from
Bonnie
the-
was great on The Quest. It was a great series.
We're looking forward
Really
to the reboot in a
cool
couple
show.
weeks, and we'll have Mark
Really
on the
cool.
show in a couple weeks. But someone in the chat room said, hey, what do you guys think to Mark Ordesky saying he was excited for Rings of Power? Well, I'm going to ask him about that. But me personally,
yeah.
Mark is an authentic guy, and he's a straight shooter.
Yes,
and,
he is.
And you know what? Mark did everything he could to the best of his abilities. He won all the Oscars.
Yes.
He made billions of dollars for the studio.
He protected Peter Jackson from
He
the
protected
wrath of Bob Shea.
He protected all of his actors.
To be honest.
he protected all of his actors, and to the point that everyone is still considered family amongst themselves. Mark is the
I'm
hero
being playful, of course.
of
But
everything.
he
And
is.
when he says
He was the
he's-
mortar between the bricks in many ways.
And
That's
he-
one of the
so
best
he-
analogies to describe Mark Ordesky.
And he's been on record on other articles or in past years saying, he said all he needs to say about Middle Earth. He did it, and he did it best.
Yes.
And when he says, I hope nothing but the best for the show, and he's looking forward to it,
Yeah.
I genuinely believe that
Sure.
he is looking forward to someone stepping up and being the best again.
We all wish them the best. We all wish them the very best. We want J.A. Bayona and all the creatives working with J.D. Payne and Michael. We want all of them to succeed. We're just nervous about it. That's the existence of our
and
fandom. We're just kind of nervous.
fans
but
are just nervous.
We do want them to succeed, obviously.
Before we move on to the main topic, I just wanted to say, speaking of Brazil, Spanish, Portuguese,
I want to talk about the Quest some more, really.
well, we'll have that on the show in a couple weeks, but
That'll
I
be
want to
great.
say that
That'll be great. Yes.
one of the most exciting things about Rings of Power is that it is executive produced, and the pilot, the 2-part pilot, is directed by Spanish director J.A. Bayona,
Yes.
who is one of the most amazing, creative Spanish directors. I won't even qualify that. Amazing directors in the business, period. He discovered Tom Holland for his movie
The Impossible.
For his movie The Impossible.
The
with,
Impossible, yes.
A Monster Calls was an incredible film about grief.
Tell me you're not teary-eyed and broken to bits by the end of the film. You tell me. Seriously, A Monster Calls.
Yeah.
Beautiful film.
So, and he's done
Beautiful film.
and he's done so many other pilots. He is the right tone. When I thought about the short list of directors that could execute on a dark second age story, he was at one of the top names, and I'm so happy.
And he'd gotten so much attention for the TV series that he helped launch.
Oh, Penny Dreadful.
Penny Dreadful, yes, that's the name.
he
Yes,
set the tone
yes.
for Penny Dreadful.
Yes.
Also, Cliff, I want to get your opinion. So, there's been over the last year, there's been a lot of talk, especially on Twitter, of Tolkien wrote an Anglo-Saxon thing. I'm most excited about J.A. Bayona bringing a Spanish perspective. Still European, still Northern European, but a Spaniard perspective to Middle Earth.
Cotillion Spanish.
So, from your opinion, what do you think? What is your excitement level on Bayona bringing that worldview, that language? It's not even a barrier. He first discovered Tolkien in the Spanish language edition of the books. So, I believe it's a new perspective, but no less thrilling.
I'm always intrigued by international directors that arrive and take away language barriers entirely, though they might come from another language background in their cinema craft and their experience with crafting films. It's intriguing to know, just like when Parasite won Best Picture, when the director reminded everyone that there's such a world, such an incredible world of imagination and power in cinema when you get over that little 2-inch hurdle of subtitles. When you can finally just jump over that hurdle and
at
get
the
past
bottom of the screen.
That little bottom of the screen, whatever's holding, he's like,
Right
if that little thing is holding you back, if that little 2-inch subtitle is a hurdle to you actually entering into the world of the art itself, I'm all about international directors bringing their cinematic flair and their visual ideas into the visual medium and then becoming successful themselves in our, huge English language market. Believe it or not, the English language marketplace, looking at Star Wars films and Marvel MCU films and Lord of the Rings films, okay? That's the big chunk of cheese in major commercial box office worldwide. Okay. That's where the cheese is.
Right.
That's where the money is that marketplace. So here come all these other amazing directors. Now, Miyazaki, although I have great reverence for him, he would not. There's a line that Miyazaki would not cross. He's not interested in making English language films in this marketplace. He wouldn't want to do that.
But let me ask you this:
I'm fascinated by
the idea of the Spanish cultural icon
very much so?
What can he bring?
Well, we would have
to Middle Earth.
You know what? We would have had a taste of that if Del Toro had made his version of The Hobbit.
Yes.
We would have already had a full taste of
Mexican director.
If The Hobbit had been made by Del Toro, we would have already had this conversation years ago. It's like that's an old. We would have had this conversation years ago.
That's what I'm saying.
Years ago.
It was so exciting. Guillermo Del Toro. Cliff has the only video interview with Guillermo while he was attached to The Hobbit.
Take a look at the unique flair that Del Toro has given to his remake of a classic noir film. All right, we're talking really specific American
we don't even need to talk about another film. Let's stay in Middle Earth.
Oh, I'm just saying, Del Toro has that knack of bringing his own flavor and his own spices.
And he worked for 3 years on The Hobbit.
To a unique art form.
And everyone we've talked to at Weta Workshop that worked for Guillermo Del Toro said, all of the artists said, it was the best work of our careers that no one will ever see.
That's what they say.
Weta Workshop artists, Oscar-winning Weta Workshop artists said Guillermo Del Toro's Hobbit was the best work of their career that no one will ever see.
Never will see the light of day.
So I was super excited to see that perspective, his background, his energy, because he does bring a cultural relevance into, famous stories that we didn't expect.
Yes.
So I'm super excited for J.A. Bayona, and I'm excited that Brazil is getting the a first look. And the final thought on this is that
I think Children of Men by Alfonso Cuarón, and the flavor and the energy that Alfonso Cuarón brings to his films.
That's pretty depressing, but
no, but Children of Men is still one of the strongest pieces of speculative fiction that has been brought successfully to life. And also look at Arrival with Denis Villeneuve. All these directors
Canadian.
French Canadian. I love this influence of other directors and their taste in cinema.
The other thing I want to say
brought to the English language market. I love it.
The final thing I want to say about this new footage that will debut is that Amazon chose the biggest TV the biggest TV event in the United States every year is the Super Bowl. They said, go big or go home.
Yeah.
And they went to the Super Bowl, and we got our trailer.
Yeah.
Now, they are going to the Brazilian market and say, what is the Super Bowl equivalent? TV ratings. What is the Super Bowl equivalent?
Oh, gosh. And it's a
Brazil.
broadcast of Big Brother?
And it is the record-setting biggest broadcast event is this finale of Big Brother that everyone's hyped about.
I can't
So if you're in another country right now, look for the biggest pop culture event or sports event and
sense.
Look to that, and that's where Amazon may arrive to.
That actually makes sense.
Cliff,
I get that.
Moving on, big news. You saw this tweet, right?
Oh, no. What tweet did I see?
Bear McCreary says, I just conducted an orchestra for the first time in 2.5 years. I was 14 the first time I waved my arms to record my high school friends in a 4-track tape recorder. For 25 years after that, I never went more than 6 months without conducting musicians. He's obviously in a thing. He
excellent.
goes on to say, in the last decade of my career, I've conducted an ensemble, an average of 50 times a year. It was a regular part of my life. With COVID, that all came to a halt. Even though I've produced probably 100 sessions during the pandemic, today was the first time I've been able to take the podium myself. I was nervous for the weeks leading up to this, but once I got up there, it felt like I was home. All my anxiety melted away, and I was overwhelmed with emotion as I tumbled into the physicality of connecting with musicians, an overwhelming, joyous experience.
Is this Lord of the Rings stuff he's been
part
recording?
of me that I hadn't realized was missing has suddenly been restored, and I think this music is good too. I can't wait to share it with you.
Rings of Power music.
Folks,
Rings of Power music. Rings of Power music.
Bear McCreary is one of the most accomplished composers. He's done a ton of shows, a ton of movies, a ton of games.
Some video games too in there. Yes, quite. Quite.
We
Wow.
have spies. We have spies down there, up there. Wait, I'm looking at the map in my head. We have spies up there in London, and
Thank you, Cecilia.
they saw this picture. They saw this picture and they said, that roof is instantly recognizable. That roof is instantly recognizable as George Martin's, the Beatles producer George Martin's conducting stage called Air Studios that is most famous for the biggest tentpole movies like The Dark Knight was scored there. Wonder Woman was scored there. Bear McCreary is currently at Air Studios in London.
Wow.
And
Air Studios in London. That's awesome. Okay.
And for the
File
first
this under
time,
very intriguing. Very intriguing.
I'm told Air Studios is one of the most expensive stages to rent
Money is no
in
object.
the world.
Money is no object for Lex Luthor.
JC,
I
Jeff
have
Bezos.
Come in the frame.
I have some insight on Bear McCreary.
Go ahead.
Mark Bernardin, who hosts his show after you guys.
Yeah.
Right in this
Let me
spot.
come around. The show
Come
after you guys had crowdfunded a short film called Splinter.
I'd heard about that.
last year.
Yeah, I heard about that.
And he had secured Bear McCreary to do the music for Splinter.
Really?
And recently, within the last month, Bear had to drop out.
Because he's too busy working on Rings of Power.
Supposedly, we don't have any
Okay.
confirmation on Bear. We've heard rumors.
But obviously, why else would he be in the recording sessions in a highly,
wait. So he
highly
dropped out.
historic,
He dropped
expensive-
out of Mark's Kickstarter.
entirely.
So he's no longer, he's providing references for other people who can do it.
Okay.
But he is no longer doing it.
Look, put two and two together. Thank you for the information, JC. He's there. We're reporting that he's there. He is tweeting himself and admitting in the photograph that he is there. He's in George Martin's Air Studios. He's there. They're filming. He's happy. He's thrilled. But because he's bound, obviously, by a non-disclosure agreement, Bear McCreary is not revealing what it really is, but we're not dumb. We didn't fall off the hayride yesterday. Seriously, I didn't fall off the hayride yesterday. I don't know about you two, but piece it all together.
Well,
he's there. And there's rumors about...
Cameras over there.
There's rumors about... I'm entertaining the audience by doing this.
What rumors have you heard, Cliff?
The rumors are that there's some kind of a thing going on with Howard Shore in London. And that he booked a hotel to stay there for several weeks because Howard Shore is doing what in London? Working with musicians, doing something. Piece it together, people.
I'm sure Mark Bernardin did not have the budget to rent George Martin's Air Studios, did he?
Probably not.
It's Kickstarter money. You got to be
He did
valiant
well on
for
the
your-
Kickstarter. He hit his stretch goals, but I don't think the stretch goals were a ridiculous
I think
studio.
the weekly rental of Air Studios is equivalent to the total amount of money Mark raised in that Kickstarter.
This is insane amount of money, but there's no object for money with this kind of... with
So
this kind of
Mark
thing with Amazon
Bernardin will
involved.
be here tonight.
He shall.
All right,
Right
are you
here,
gonna? We
at
should
this
bring it
very
up.
point.
We should be like, hey, heard you lost your composer.
I might. I mean, he sent it out in a Kickstarter update, so he
Okay.
knows.
I
But
feel
maybe
like-
I'll let him know that. I mean, I probably shouldn't bring it up because I'm sure he knows the actual inside scoop. I'm sure Bear didn't call him up and say
not that
no.
I'm involved at all in any capacity, but I feel like I should apologize to him at this point on behalf of Ringer fandom.
Yeah, but...
Well, thank you, JC, for that update.
right.
Yes, thank you very much, sir.
Hey, if you want, when you're done with Rings of Power, I signed up for the Conqueror Challenge. If you want to talk
You
about
did?
the
You
Conqueror
signed up for the Conqueror
Challenge.
Challenge? We've been talking about that for weeks, by the way.
I am 6 miles into my 1,800-mile journey to Mordor.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Let's talk about that at the end of the show
Yeah,
because that's
yeah.
super exciting.
I'm going to tell you something. I went to Disneyland last week, and
let's talk about that at the end of the show.
Okay, but I actually did half a marathon. I walked like 13,000 steps or something insane. It was 27,000 steps. I forgot. 39. There was only 39 steps.
Imran in the chat room wants
There's a
to
Hitchcock
remind
reference
us
for you.
that Air Studios, where Bear McCreary is recording, is an old church, hence the vaulted ceiling. That is true. They record in an old vaulted church. And Cliff, I'm
You know
here in
what?
Hollywood.
I'm going to believe it.
I'm here in Hollywood. You're here in Hollywood. But last week we reported that Howard Shore was spotted in London.
Yep.
And then
Yep.
a week
We
later,
did.
Bear
We did.
McCreary posts a photo from London. Do you want to hear the spy report that came on a DM in Discord? We
Bring
used
it.
to get spy reports on ICQ. Remember ICQ?
Oh, it was called Barlaman's. Barlaman's
well, that
chat.
was IRC.
Oh, it was the IRC chat that was after
ICQ was the
ICQ.
little chat thing that used to go. "Uh-oh."
I
Remember
do
that? Like
remember that.
yeah, we got people here that remember
Oh,
ICQ.
for heaven's sake. I remember that.
So a little birdie popped into Discord and said, Howard is working with Bear. Bear is doing most of the work. Howard supposedly, again, we haven't heard anything from Amazon, so this might not be true. Supposedly, according to people that know, Howard gets an official title on the opening credits of every episode. Main title composed and conducted by Howard Shore.
So he's doing the main title. That's what they did with Star Trek The Next Generation.
That's what they're doing with Star Wars. The new Kenobi is main title composed and conducted by John Williams, but the show is scored by someone else.
Main title composed by Jerry Goldsmith.
They also
TNG,
did it on
right.
Solo. Han Solo's theme was composed by John Williams. The rest of the movie was done by somebody else.
Michael Giacchino, I believe.
Not
right? No?
Solo. That was Rogue
Not the
One.
Solo
That was Rogue One.
No,
Johnson, I
This
think.
is fascinating. So we'll get to have the entire season of the Amazon Rings of Power listening to Bear McCreary throughout all the narrative pieces of the episode.
Queen Maid says, "Don't get my hope
But the
up like this." Well,
opening
I'm
fanfare-
tempering your hopes up. The opening
Right.
fanfare, the main title,
The opening fanfare. Wow.
is Howard Shore, but the music composed. The music is done by Bear McCreary.
I think we should go back and look at our archives on YouTube because I speculated this very thing would come to pass many months ago.
So,
I was. It was
are you
better-
disappointed? Are you disappointed that Howard Shore is not the solo composer?
No, because I think there's still an opportunity for more to happen. I'm not disappointed at all, but I was better than the great Karnak. I was better than Johnny Carson putting the answer up on his forehead before he knew the question. I definitely predicted this months ago that they were going to do this Jerry Goldsmith thing like they did for The Next Generation.
Yeah.
And it's just like the only Howard Shore that we're going to identify with. Like every weekend, kids at home were going dun 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 bum 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 because of the HBO Game of Thrones opening, and it became such a earworm in everybody's head. So Howard is in it for the earworm. He wants the weekly repeat of his theme every week. To heck with what Bear McCreary is doing, upholding the narrative and the emotional oomph of the episode. That doesn't matter to Howard. Howard wants the main fanfare. I like that. That's ballsy.
Is it?
That's ballsy.
Is it?
I
Are
like
you happy?
it. I like it.
Everyone knows the Game
I
of
like it.
Thrones fanfare.
I like it.
In fact, I don't remember any other music other than the main title.
I don't remember
of Game
any
of Thrones.
other music from any
Zero.
Star Trek episode, but decades later, people are walking around going, bum, ba, ba,
The
bum,
chat room
ba, ba,
says
bum.
we are in good hands, guys.
Decades
And
later.
we are. We're in good hands.
I'm telling you.
both ways.
I don't envy Bear, though. From Mr. McCreary's perspective, I don't envy him at all.
He's
He's got to do
so
the heavy
good,
lifting, the real work, the heavy
but
lifting.
he's used to heavy lifting. He's done some
He's gotta
of
do
the
that.
biggest games and biggest TV shows and
True.
biggest
That's
movies.
true.
Bear
But boy.
McCreary is a generational talent.
Howard Shore going for the top tier opening title sequence so that his presence and his music is in pop culture forevermore. That's ballsy, and I really think it's cool. It's very interesting to me. Okay, I'm telling you, in terms of collective memory, collective pop culture memory, Howard knows that his music will be remembered, and that was the point of the whole thing. I get it. I get it now.
And here's the thing, Cliff, we started asking ourselves over the last couple weeks, we know Amazon's Lord of the Rings show is the biggest budget show in history, $1 billion budget for season 1. We've been starting to ask, where are they spending that money? Like, what can you spend it on? And I can tell you right now.
On studios like that.
You spend it on Bear McCreary and Howard Shore, not either or.
Both, exactly. In that studio in London.
That's what $1 billion gets you.
You know what? I'm looking forward.
The answer is always yes.
Are you looking forward to the sepia tone publicity photograph of the two of them together in soft profile? I'm looking forward to that because that's what's going to happen. There's going to be some sepia-toned, God-blessed publicity photo of Bear McCreary and Howard Shore. It's going to happen.
Someone in the chat room just brought up the Top Gun theme, and I can tell you, the Top Gun is a perfect example of a movie with a great soundtrack, great songs, great everything. But when you hear that Top Gun theme come in on the new trailers, the hairs rise. Like I am so in for the new Top Gun.
The Top Gun fandom.
The trailer music for that
in the 80s,
and that's the feeling I want out of Howard Shore.
I know.
I want to hear that opening main title theme, and just get goosebumps and giggle every week as we tune in.
I get that.
Starting September 2nd, every week when we tune in and we see Howard Shore's name, I'm like, I'm in.
I'm
so in.
You know, back in that early 80s, I wasn't in the theater watching Top Gun. I was watching The Dark Crystal over and over and over again. And then I went back to watch, Poltergeist. Surprisingly, I saw that over and over and over again in the 80s.
We got to come up. We got to come up with a nickname for Howard and Bear. Shore and McCreary. Shore and Bear. Howard and McCreary. How do we tag team this?
Howie Bear. Howie Bear. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Shore. I apologize, Mr. Shore. I'll never say that again. Ever. Don't hashtag that, anybody.
Boward.
Do not hashtag, please.
Boward.
I'm asking everybody out there, do not hashtag Howie Bear.
Boward McShore.
Because I'll never say it again. You're never going to hear me say that again.
Bear at the shore. Bear at the shore.
Bear at the shore.
That is true. Bear is entering the shoreline.
Bear at the shore.
That Howard Shore.
It sounds like a Studio Ghibli short film. Bear at the shore. Ponyo on the cliff by the sea, which is the real name of the film.
Boy.
No, I like that. Bear on the shore. Barely shored. Barely shored?
I don't know. Hey, other news.
Other news, please.
Did you see this?
Don't get me lost on this, because I'm...
So, Amazon updated their Lord of the Rings information page to include beautiful new photos, studio photos of the showrunners of Lord of the Rings. Here they are, J.D. Payne and Patrick McKay. The cheat code is J.D.'s got the one with the beard.
Forgive me for mispronouncing his name earlier in the broadcast, but getting Patrick and JD out there is a big piece of the publicity puzzle now.
It's what we've been asking for.
It is what we've been asking for. But when my phone rings and we get to have them sit here at the bar and have a chat and have a conversation, then I'll be satisfied. That's when all of fandom will be happy, is when they're doing fan broadcasts. And when they're actually talking with the community of fans. And I know that they want to do that, and they're under extreme multi-page non-disclosure agreements. I understand how this works in reality, but it doesn't make us any less impatient. But what's interesting now is that part of the publicity machine that's happening includes a media focus on Patrick and JD. It's a very intriguing aspect.
And it's interesting because Amazon highlights that they went to Yale. They grew up in Washington, D.C., Ivy League schools all the way. They went to Yale. They've been writing together. Their official Amazon profile says they've worked on 20 scripts, including Star Trek, Jungle Cruise, and pictures and scripts for Legendary and Paramount 20th Century.
And
Legendary,
you know what? They even mentioned their unproduced screenplay, the big one.
The interesting thing is
They mention
everything
that, too.
that they mention, everything that Amazon mentions in their studio profile of the showrunners, nothing exists anywhere. It's not on IMDb. It's not on the blacklist. It's not on any website. We've called around. No one knows who these guys are. No one's ever seen a script of theirs.
Such a mystery.
Like I tell you, Cliff,
Such a mystery. Really.
you've got more credits on IMDb than these guys. And like,
Thank you.
you know, that's what I'm saying. Like, Amazon can hype these guys up all they want, but they're ghosts.
I'll take that backhanded compliment.
The other interesting thing
I
is,
think I only have 2 credits. I think there's maybe a video game. I did video game voice of
you were Samwise.
I was the voice of Samwise Gamgee for Fellowship of the Ring game, and I did a little documentary film called Ringers, Lord of the Fans.
That's more
But I
than
think
these guys have
I've got
made.
2 IMDb credits.
Right.
And that's it.
That's more than both of these showrunners combined have made and
Oh
published.
no! I actually worked as a consultant, as a researcher, working on Star Wars, the 2-hour documentary.
Oh, that's right.
That was on the History Channel called Star Wars: The Legacy, or The Legacy Continues. I think that's what it was called. But I was a researcher on that program, digging up ancient Greek and Roman connections to mythology.
That's what. But
with the Star Wars construct.
But I'm
it was
saying
an interesting
things
job. Very
like
interesting
you were
job.
Samwise, and like you've got more credits than both of these guys combined. So Amazon can fluff these guys up as much as they want. No one's ever heard of them. In fact, there's a typo on their description on the Amazon page. They list legendary twice because they just ran out of things to hype that don't exist. So they listed legendary pictures twice. So I don't know. They're trying.
Can you imagine?
They're overhyping these guys.
First of all, it's fascinating that it's even part of the publicity package because there's not much to push, like you were pointing out. It's
Right.
part of their publicity
There's
push.
not- but
there's
there-
not much to push in terms of publicity.
That's
But
why we want to talk to them.
That's why
Like,
we just want
we
to
went
sit and talk about their sensibilities. Nothing in today's press release gives any of us fans a clue about their sensibilities as storytellers. It doesn't give us anything.
Zero.
So that's why we want to sit and have a chat. Real simple. I mean,
I can
do you
tell you
think we
when they hired Guillermo Del Toro for The Hobbit, you know what he did? He jumped on our message boards at theonering.net and said, "Hi, I'm Guillermo and I'm directing The Hobbit.
I'm here to bare my soul
And you know what?
to you. I'm
we
here to bare
thought
my
it was
soul.
a troll. We called the studio and said, "Hey, studio PR people, is this guy impersonating Guillermo?"
And Warner Brothers said,
And Warner Brothers said, "No, that's the real guy.
That's really Del Toro.
We
talking
didn't-
to the fans on our message boards.
We
like
didn't
it's
put him up to this like
garden variety
He
thing.
just did it on his own. But
Bless
that's
his heart.
That's what we're used to.
That's
you know?
the type of
Peter-
engagement. Now, look, a filmmaker or even a showrunner, in this case, could make that level of engagement on our message boards and still not break the NDA.
Hey, Cliff-
there are ways to do it, beyond the great wall of censors there that Amazon
I'm
has.
happy to report-
They could talk about some median stuff.
The chat room
without
wants to
spoiling
tell
it.
you, Cliff,
What?
that you have 6 credits on IMDb.
I thought I had 3. Well,
They are
that's
looking you
lovely.
up now. So you have
Oh,
6
okay.
times the amount of credits that the Amazon showrunners have.
You
Why
should-
didn't you showrun this show?
You should see me when I'm sober.
Why didn't you do this show? Why didn't you showrun the show?
No, I've done all these interesting things in my career, writing and producing and writing.
Well,
the most interesting thing that I've never done that I really, really want to do is work more in animation, in the animation industry. See, I still got new things to discover.
If you're out
new
there,
things to do.
listen up. Hey, everyone in the chat wants us to talk about the biggest controversial news of the week.
Okay, this is intriguing to me. I read about this in great detail over breakfast, even over second breakfast today. I read about this.
All right, so
I read all about
set it
this
up.
today.
What are we about to show them?
Certain things were requested behind the scenes by a certain someone by the name of Christopher Tolkien.
Let's go to the tape.
Certain requests were made after he retired from his position in the lead role of running the Tolkien estate and making lead decisions.
Remember, Christopher Tolkien signed off on this deal with Amazon.
Christopher Tolkien
he led the deal.
A, retired, B, still very much alive.
Yes.
Just to give the audience context.
So
he was retired from the position.
Here's what
and
Fellowship of Fans is reporting
the
this
other
week.
level of younger Tolkien
But we don't know.
were
No,
making
as far as we know, Christopher Tolkien was in charge at the time. So these are the rules that Fellowship of Fans is reporting from the Tolkien estate.
It's amazing that these requests even got across the airwaves into the hands of Amazon's producers.
So
it's amazing to me that this request was even made.
The first one says, if a character dies in an event in the Second Age, they have to die.
Period. Meaning the show could not change the historical fact of Professor Tolkien killing off a character in the Second Age. And the producers of the show could not change that.
Secondly, if a character does not die in the Second Age, they cannot be killed off, no matter how small their involvement is in the Third Age. Like Círdan.
Like Círdan the shipwright. Exactly.
Wait, what does Círdan have to do with anything?
Círdan was the guy who you see at the very end of The Return of the King when the last ship is leaving. When the last ship is leaving.
Yes.
Círdan is in the shot.
So Amazon cannot kill anybody that has relevance in the Third Age.
He was the elven lord who ran the Grey Havens.
Do you agree with those two notes?
Yes. Yes, I do. So, in case you don't know, Círdan is in the opening of Fellowship of the Ring, and he's in the very closing scene of Return of the King.
I understand.
You've seen him there.
You agree with those two notes?
Yes,
okay.
Absolutely I do.
Third note.
Absolutely I agree with this.
Third note. A request from Christopher Tolkien is that Christopher did not like the repurposing of lines in the Jackson movies to different characters and request that Amazon does not do the same.
And now there's the rub. There's the rub, because that's the part that everybody likes the most.
That's the part I like the most.
That's the part everybody loves the most.
What is the best example of Peter Jackson repurposing a line?
The opening prologue that is spoken by Galadriel is not even Galadriel's dialogue. It's Treebeard. It's all Treebeard dialogue in the opening of the film, not Galadriel like speaking from the distant Sindarin past of thousands of years ago. It's Treebeard speaking directly in the book, but they repurpose the dialogue from the wise, ancient shepherd of the trees, and they put the dialogue right into Cate Blanchett's mouth so that she opens up the movie with Treebeard dialogue.
Sarah Pete Pink says, I really like the repurposing of lines. I do too.
We all love that.
And I was okay with Arwen being as much of a presence in this compared to who it was supposed to be, gathering Frodo and Flight of the Fjord and what all that stuff is. Arwen took a bunch of lines off someone, right? So
there are lines repurposed in the Peter Jackson films all over the place, like everywhere.
Even in song, they took lines from characters and put it in songs that Aragorn sings.
They even switched them out to different films. There's a piece of song where Frodo, in the Fellowship of the Ring book, is dancing on top of the table, singing a song in the Prancing Pony Inn. But in the Hobbit movie, it's the dwarf Bifur who gets up on top of it, on top of the plinth, and sings the song. You know this little Bifur hat that you're wearing right here?
Yes.
Yeah, it's Bifur in the Hobbit movie that gets the actual Frodo song from the book. But it's actually repurposed into a different movie package, even though it was from The Lord of the Rings.
Cliff, Jordan wants to know, would you be okay if the lines were repurposed because the character doesn't appear, like Tom Bombadil?
Okay, that's a great question, Jordan. Hello, Jordan, by the way. Thanks for joining the chat. Wow, let me think about that.
All right,
would you be okay if lines were repurposed because the character doesn't appear? You know what? Some dialogue from Glorfindel. I think there's a dialogue from Glorfindel who never shows up. And I think some of his dialogue appears in the Ralph Bakshi movie and in the Peter Jackson film. It's quite everywhere. I'm cool with that. The answer is
this is part
yes.
This is part of making the TV
I'm cool
show.
With that.
And here's the thing.
Cool with that.
Overwhelmingly in the chat room, and I hope you can see it on screen. Overwhelmingly in the chat room is like, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with repurposing lines. So Cliff, how do you reconcile Christopher Tolkien? He died soon after. One of his final wishes is saying, please, Christopher Tolkien, do you as a filmmaker respect that request? Or do you do what's right to the movie?
I wouldn't belong on the project if I didn't responsibly take care and honor that request. I wouldn't.
It's the wrong call. The chat room agrees with Peter Jackson. Like, it makes sense in context of the show. You can't be as that alliterative.
Talking about the first two requests.
I'm talking about
the third one. All right, I agree with the concept of not killing off characters in the second age that need to be alive later in the third age. It all makes sense. But repurposing lines of dialogue, well, academically speaking, it does. I do understand, and I appreciate what Christopher is saying because of the long thought-out process of Tolkien himself writing dialogue that was appropriate for that character's history and language and their background. I get that. I totally understand respecting the scholarship that Professor Tolkien put into the work originally. But in terms of what Matt from Nerd of the Ring said, I agree with the take that why not use more Tolkien to get more Tolkien across to the audience? If there's more Tolkien, even if it is repurposed from other characters, it can only be a beneficial thing because you're getting more of the actual words of John Ronald Reuel into the show. And that's where I stand. I agree with that take.
I do
agree with that.
I want to respond to Sarah real quick. Sarah in the chat room says, I highly doubt that was Christopher Tolkien's dying request. This wasn't a Yoda situation. There was another Skywalker. I disagree. Christopher made his father's world his life's work. Christopher's entire career is based around republishing, re-editing all of his father's books.
And his father's work wouldn't be alive within us today except for Christopher doing the work.
Christopher
was that stuff.
Yeah, Christopher held an iron grip. I mean,
he had to, otherwise
on his father's work.
I get it.
I disagree with him, but to Sarah's point, you don't believe this is his dying wish? I do believe this is his dying wish because this was his life and this is his death. And Christopher did the deal with Amazon to cement his legacy in popular culture for the next generation. Christopher did that.
So there's almost zero dialogue of the second age in existence in the books anyways, right? We're talking about bullet points of history in the appendix. That's what they paid for. That's what the show is built around. There isn't much dialogue there anyways. So it wouldn't be surprising to me if certain dialogue from other characters within The Lord of the Rings, which is also encompassed by the same license. It wouldn't surprise me at all if some dialogue sneaks in there from other people.
Dr. Nosey says, I wish Amazon waited until Christopher Tolkien passed. I'm actually glad it happened as it is because if Amazon had waited until Christopher Tolkien had passed and then they did this deal with the family, everyone would have been like, Christopher would have never allowed this. This is a hypocrisy. Kind of what they're doing now. Luckily, Christopher oversaw those final negotiations. He got the deal done. He instantly retired and handed it off to the next generation.
Because there was still veto power within the family's control.
And there still is.
There still is to this day. If they write something within the series that breaks the canon, or if you can, put up that tweet one more time, please. Because there was one other parenthetical statement that we glossed over, and I want to understand this. Part 1, if a character dies in an event in the second age, they have to die.
No Marvel mischief here.
Then it says, parenthesis,
or Star Wars.
Amazon have bypassed this already with Celebrimbor due to the time compression so that he is alive while Isildur is alive, etc. That's because we've moved events in the timeline hundreds and hundreds and thousands of years together and compressing people to be alive there in the same spots in the same time.
Cliff,
it's going to be weird.
Let me give you another...
But they're doing it.
Let's go to Sean Gunner is the president of the Tolkien Society, the revered Tolkien Society.
Okay.
And he says Christopher Tolkien also said they eviscerated the book by making it an action movie for young people 15 to 25.
That was his comment 20 years ago on the Fellowship of the Ring, right?
That's right.
Okay, he's commenting in context in a French newspaper known as Le Monde.
And he says...
Christopher Tolkien had a big, famous interview, one of the last ones of his career.
And he says the chasm between the beauty and seriousness of the work and what it has become has gone too far for me. Such commercialization has reduced the aesthetic and philosophical impact of this creation to nothing. I disagree.
But he's not wrong.
He's not a fan of movies.
He's not wrong, but
He is wrong.
I disagree with him too, but he's not wrong.
It did not lessen the philosophical impact to nothing. Those movies spoke to people and spoke to a generation that the books never would have reached. Those movies did what they're supposed to do.
The philosophical impact of Gandalf sacrificing himself on the bridge of Khazad-dûm and the philosophical and spiritual power behind that moment has become nothing but a meme, a clip, a meme online that is almost meaningless except as a visual motif of recognition to cinema. So I understand that. I do understand that. It's true.
The vibe I'm getting from everything Christopher said 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 2 years before his death, he just didn't like movies. He didn't like the form of movies. He didn't like the format of movies.
He did not understand what cinema was or
did
the
not
visual
understand
medium.
cinema.
We're talking about the essence of literature in his life is not even comparable to other visual media. I mean,
so do you
it's not incomparable.
Do you respect that last demand from a guy that didn't understand the medium that you're working with?
This is where I beg my audience for some leeway in understanding how these things have to work. Okay? Contractually, Amazon Studios is in bed with the Tolkien estate, making the Rings of Power, and they can make it within the confines of this agreement, and they cannot break it without the family of J.R.R. Tolkien saying, no. That doesn't match the history of Arda. It doesn't match enough. We're not going to let that fly as a Lord of the Rings TV show because you've broken away from too much of the history, the canon that really matters. At least we know that there is a breaking point that they're not going to break past. And in terms of that being in place, I can more comfortably say Christopher Tolkien was right about pop culture and visual media causing erosion of intellectual process and academia because they are opposite ends of the psychological spectrum.
But it did not lessen the philosophical agenda of the books.
Not within the books themselves. And it certainly did not decrease the literature and its power at all.
It did not affect the books. In fact, it strengthened the books. But I feel like the core themes that the books present, the philosophical themes that Christopher Tolkien says were erased to nothing, that is just wrong. It's factually wrong.
I just made my example about the Bridge of Khazad-dûm, and I'm talking about the reason why Gandalf had to die, the sacrifice against the Balrog. All of this was written into the story for really specific spiritual reasons.
And we got that in the movies.
We got that in the movies, right? We did get that in the movies. We certainly did. And Ian McKellen got an Oscar nomination for playing the role of Gandalf the Grey, obviously. But
putting it simply, the chat room says, putting it simply, Tolkien's world is not a franchise.
Look, being a reader...
You hear that, Amazon? Tolkien's world is not a franchise.
Look, there's the academic approach to J.R.R. Tolkien, and then there's just the way that we more passively entertain ourselves in this popular expression of Tolkien. Get it?
Yeah.
Like, academics are more active and fully involved, deeply active, while the rest of us are just passively playing
Cliff
the video game.
Has a point. Look, the chat.
We're playing the video game and watching the TV show or the movie as passive fans.
The chat room
We're
agrees
not
with
academically involved in the same way, and that's the point that I'm trying to make.
The chat room is with you.
Get that.
A couple news notes before we let you go.
Oh yeah, we do have to wrap up the show pretty soon.
Kate Blanchett just won the Chaplain Award in New York City. She is the youngest recipient of the Chaplain Award. Of course, she is.
The 47th.
Happy to report that Dana Grant, the stunt woman for Galadriel, that had a brain injury on set. Over a lifetime of stunts. She had brain surgery recently, so she's back doing flips at her studio. So this is really exciting. Congratulations to Dana.
Whoa, that's awesome. I'm so
getting-
glad to see her
getting
back.
after 8 months after brain surgery, and then of course someone on
Wow.
chat, a random character name on Twitter with no profile pic says, "What are your opinions, Neil Gaiman, and thoughts on Amazon's Lord of the Rings?"
Neil Gaiman, celebrated author of the Sandman comic books, the greatest and most intelligent and wonderful comic books ever written. Challenge me. I'll stand on this hill and I will die on it. Neil Gaiman.
There you
What
go.
did he say?
Having not seen it yet, I have no opinions or thoughts.
That's right.
As
Having
all
not
we
seen
should.
it yet.
Well, thank you, Cliff. Another Torn Tuesday. We're here every week giving you the latest Lord of the Rings news. A couple people in the chat room were saying, isn't Philippa Boyens involved in the show? No, she's got her own movie. New Line Cinema is doing an anime film of the Riders of Rohan, Helm Hammerhand, and the Shield Maidens of Rohan. That's going to be real exciting. So Philippa Boyens is doing that.
Is the movie properly titled The Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim?
War of the Rohirrim.
That's the full title of the
That's
film.
the full title.
I'm very
as
excited
we-
about that.
Hopefully it does not get canceled by Warner Brothers' new owners, Discovery, because I hear that they're canceling a lot of things right now.
They better not cancel
Discovery,
that.
do not cancel our anime
not.
film.
No, you better not. I'm so excited about that. That's going to be the coolest thing ever.
And
really cool.
If any producers are watching the show, hire Cliff for a voice in that.
I'd love to do that. I would really love to do that.
Can you be a Shield Maiden of Rohan?
I sure can. Absolutely.
No, you can be Helm Hammerhand.
You know what? Just give me some helium and a balloon, and I can do any voice you want.
Boy, that is not the right answer.
We're gonna say
Thank you, Cliff.
We're gonna say thank you and good night to our lovely audience, and on top of that, thank you. We've been joined by a special
And we're
live audience here at Scum and Villainy
Villainy
Cantina. Just a reminder to our audience, both live and the real people here in the room, The Rings of Power, the new Lord of the Rings TV series, is going to be coming to your TV screens this fall, September 2nd, 2022. I'm shaken in my boots with nerves, but I'm also excited and energized at the same time. It's a weird place to be.
And any of you Brazilian fans watching, I saw you in the chat room. Tell us, as soon as they air that new footage from the Rings of Power, give us a description. Slide into my DMs and describe what you see.
Dan said it was a merger, not a buyout, so that's different.
What?
It was a merger, not a buyout.
No, Discovery's in charge, and they're already canceling shows. I promise you,
I'm scared.
Discovery is
I'm
in
scared.
charge.
They better not cancel.
Do not cancel our
Listen,
Lord of the Rings cartoon.
Listen, The War of the Rohirrim is
Wow.
the coolest thing. I can't wait to see it. Japanese anime of Lord of the Rings, bring it. We are all here for that. Do not cancel that. You heard it here first. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us for our little discourse about literary world colliding with the pop culture world. We do it every Tuesday right here at theonering.net. Now it's time to sign off, and I say good night and good luck to everyone in all of our live chat areas on all the platforms. And thank you to the live audience and to the very gracious staff of Scum and Villainy Cantina. Thank you. Tip your
Thanks for
bartender,
putting
Jason.
us up.
He's the best bartender. I love you guys. Thanks for joining us. Until next Tuesday, we will see you very soon. This is Justin and Clifford signing off, and I must also say, buenos noches y buena suerte. Bye, everybody. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah!